Okay, so we'll see how many people actually are still waiting for me to show up. Yeah, I switched to my personal computer, which is what I did last time. Long story short, when the video goes on the laptop, I can't just and then I have to shut the whole thing down and go back in again. I hope on this platform I can just bop out and bop back in, which means you'll just lose my feed briefly. And Braidwood and Justin says a bit early. No, I'm just doing some. I can't even say testing anymore. I'm just doing basically some system checks to see if I can do the StreamYard live chat or if I'm gonna have to stick with YouTube. So far I'm 0 for 1. I tried doing it on the laptop and the laptop froze almost 2 minutes in. I'm not sure if it's a weak connection or I got you. Oh yeah, the whole point of being able to do StreamYard is being able to do this. I got you. That being said, if it freezes up here, Dave told me a trick I can use to actually just sort of go off stage and back on the laptop. When the laptop freezes, the video, I can't just unplug it and plug it back in. Mr. Lid says, think good thoughts, Bob. Well, you actually stuck around to see if I could come back in. So you never lost faith in me. So how could I? If it freezes up here, I have a trick to sort of zip out and zip back in. So again, you'll just sort of lose me for a second, but I can stick with StreamYard. If that doesn't work, I'm going to stick with YouTube for a while. My brother-in-law keeps promising to come over and check my system. I think a lot of it has to do with the high-speed internet access, or shall I say lack of it in this household. When I cut the cable, as it were, I'd look into a much higher level of internet access, and that actually might help me to an extent. Other brother Daryl says, Bob, hi Daryl. Yeah, I'm just doing a quick. I've only been on for maybe like 20 minutes and half an hour. Fingers crossed. Just to see if the system can support what I'm doing. If it does freeze, if I can fix it. So don't consider this the post. Consider it me just hitting the ground running. And Steve in 11 seconds says, hey now. Good to see you, Steve, by the way. Always nice to have you. Brady Wooden says, I like StreamYard, but the difference hurts me. I am only available during the lateness of the hour. That actually might be it too. Because the first live stream I did on StreamYard, I did during the day. The second one I did on this unit, I did at night, and it crashed and or burned. Oh, and Darrell says, long time no see, buddy. I'm assuming he's speaking to Mr. Led. Okay, so we haven't seen Corey or Indy or Dan back yet. You see, and this is what I'm talking about. Out of the friggin' blue. Okay, I'm going to try something here. Everybody just stay with me. We'll see if this works. Okay, Brady Whitten says, I see Cape Cod at night. If you guys heard me say that, let me know. It's not saying add to stage, which is leading me. Oh, Daryl says, I get a bad feeling about this. Steve says StreamYard is expensive for the full version. Yeah. Oh. Okay, I even re-added me to stage. Oh, Steve says, I hear you. The question is, can you see me? I just re-added me to stage. So if that works, Daryl says, I hear you now. Okay, so, but can you see me? Yes, good. Because I think what happened before was not earlier today. Remember last Sunday? Um, Even when I came back in, people couldn't hear or see me. I could see them in the chats, and they're like, "Where's Bob? Where's Thrash? Where's Thrash?" And I'm like, "I'm here, guys. You can't hear me." And that went on for about 10 minutes. Uh, but the trick here is what I do is I go off stage, I disconnect and reconnect, and then go back on stage. And as long as it still says end stream in the upper corner, not go live, I think we're okay. I might try this tonight just to see how long it works. Also to see how many times it actually crashes on me. Daryl says, I hear you. Oh, I see you. I hear you. Good to go. Mr. Lynn says, yes, Daryl, unfortunately having some health issues, but good to hear you. Mr. Lynn, yes, I hope your health problems are moving in a positive fashion. Danny says, you're back. We'll see how long it lasts. Braidwood in says, what's your vector, Victor? I was over under, but under was underdone. I unless I keep freezing, like I say, sometimes it stays and sometimes it doesn't. What I really should have done was I should have looked at the time to see how long I have between freezes. But yeah, so what I'll do is I'm gonna do my live stream from here tonight. And if it freezes, I'll just go off stage and back on until it becomes really, really, really irritating. In which case I'll stick with YouTube, which at least works. And like I said, I have absolutely nothing to talk about right now. Who's everyone taking in the Super Bowl this coming Sunday, not today, a week from today? I think it could go either way, by the way. 49ers have always been a very solid Super Bowl team, to my recollection. And I think Kansas City, even without Taylor Swift, I think Kansas City is unstoppable this year. And maybe Taylor Swift will give them an edge. Maybe she won't. I think they're a cute couple. So either way, but again, there's no wrong answers for next Sunday. And Justin says, hopefully it freezes during the question I miss. Oh, by the way, while we're at it, and I'm not giving you any samples, but tonight's trivia is going to be on classic 80s MTV, maybe a little 90s mixed in, but vintage MTV. So for those of you who are familiar with music videos of that time period, you should do well. Oh, and Steve is taking Taylor for the Super Bowl. Again, no wrong answers, but... And Danny says, I haven't watched football since the 80s. That was when I was playing it, by the way. And Mr. Lynn says, okay, Bob, have a few errands to run. Hopefully be back with you tonight. Mr. Lynn, it was so nice to see you. If you can make it tonight, I will be over the moon. If you can't, more than understand, take care of yourself. Daryl says, frickin' 80s. Yes, frickin' 80s. Justin says, oddly enough, the Cardinals, and they beat San Francisco. It was a weird year. I mean, everyone seemed to think Buffalo was going to go all the way this year, and I'm not being nasty or spiteful or vindictive, but I'm kind of glad they didn't, because I lost on the Bills. Count them, 4 Super Bowls in a row. That is statistically impossible. So, and I've said ever since, I said if Buffalo went to the Super Bowl, I would bet against them, even if the other team didn't show up. I don't even trust Buffalo for default. And I know I'm going back over 30 years, but I don't care. So I will enjoy this Super Bowl more in their absence. I guess you'd say I'm going to shuffle off to Buffalo. Let's see. So, okay, we covered next Super Bowl. Let's see what else. Anybody see Saturday Night Live last night? I really should have had some kind of topic. Although I seem to do best without a topic. I seem to do best when we all just sort of chat. Like, remember the other time we were talking. I can't remember what the topic was. We'd actually never get around to it. Let's just see here. Daryl says Green Bay ain't playing, not watching. Don't think I would watch if Green Bay was playing. That's the spirit. I'll tell you what, here in New England, you know how many people stopped paying attention altogether when the Pats were out of it? And that was kind of early on. Pats did not have a good season. In fact, the only thing The only thing New England's talking about nonstop is where Bledsoe is going to go. I think, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be mean, he should just retire. Man had an outstanding career. He must have put some money in the bank. Dude, just wind up the clock. Do a little deep sea fishing, catch up on your reading. You don't have to bring another team to the Super Bowl. Really? Oh, hey, Lance Chaffin is here. He says, hey, Thrash. Hey to you too, by the way. This is just a little experiment I'm doing so that I can hit the ground running. For those of you who just tuned in, the laptop froze, and the problem with when the laptop freezes is I can't just bop out and bop back in. Went to the personal computer. In a couple minutes in, that froze, but we discovered, didn't we, gang? We discovered a trick where I can actually go off stage, reset my equipment, and come back in. So I'm only gone for a second or two, and that seems to be doing the trick. So Daryl says, I watched Curse of the Demon last night. I have to rewatch that movie. I haven't seen that movie in years. George Sanders, right? Isn't George Sanders something to do with that movie? Indy Spout says, this is the voice of Colossus, the voice of Guardian. We are one. This is the voice of unity. I would have gone with Complex myself, actually. But again, there's no wrong answers. Actually, yeah, there is Skynet. Skynet never even said, okay, I'm going to rule. Skynet just went kablooey. At least Colossus gave humans the opportunity to tow the bale and all that. What is the name of that short story about the supercomputer? It's so vast. It's actually built as a satellite that can actually be seen from the Earth. It becomes like our second moon. And 90% of the story is just them describing all that went into this computer. And when they switch it on, the first thing they ask it is there a God? And the computer goes, there is now. This doesn't have an off button. Land says, Thresh, why is Thresh on no stream tonight? Oh, no. Two reasons. I decided that I wanted to test my equipment to see if I'd be able to do a stream. I really want to stick with StreamYard. Last Sunday didn't work out. I compared notes with Dave Sundstrom. He gave me a couple suggestions. Having trouble still with the PC, but I think I can manage the laptop. I had trouble with, but I think I can manage on the PC. So this is really just a test post. Oh, and Steve says, sadly, George Sanders committed suicide. Yes, and oddly enough, was it Psychotronic? He committed suicide almost immediately after he made a movie about a bizarre cult where the members commit suicide so they can come back as a stronger entity in the next incarnation. It was very weird. I'm sure the two matters were separate. I'm sure he didn't really think he would come back and rule the world. I think he was suffering from clinical depression. But it was odd, though, isn't it, that he committed suicide right after that point. Danny says, I watched some old Gil Mann movie this morning over breakfast, Revenge of the Creature on Svengoolie. Love a Svengoolie, by the way. Revenge of the Creature. Is that the one that has a walk-on by Clint Eastwood? And Braidwood says, Skynet had about as much security as the Nakatomi Tower. I know, right? When Corey says, I'm back. Oh, while we're on the subject, Dan, if you could give links to Steve and Corey and anyone else, Justin, of course, of the Braidwood Inn, and anyone else who would like a link to their channel, please. And Indy says, Answer by Frederick Brown is the short story you're thinking. Frederick Brown. For some reason, I always think that's an Asimov short story, which is probably why I can't find it. I'm looking under Asimov's bibliography. Indy Spouts, thank you so much. Oh, by the way, I still laugh when I think of your suggestion that Cursory Investigation should be the name of my channel. Cursory Research, I'm sorry. After some cursory research. And Lynn says, I watched The Private Eyes with Don Knotts and Tim Conway. Very cute movie. And he says, George Sanders' suicide note read, I am bored. Wow. Well, that's one way of taking care of it. Oh, and the other thing, by the way, thank you, Lance. The other reason I'm on is to run everyone to Dave Sunstrom's members only live chat is on at 3:30 today. I'm gonna try the Dickens to make it. Have a couple errands I gotta run with Mrs. Thrash. If I'm home, it'll be on. If I'm not, sadly it won't. But all of you, please remember Dave Sunstrom, 3:30 on his channel, his members. Preston Downey just sent me a Facebook message. Says, "Hey brother, happy Sunday," and it goes on. Probably something about when he said to photo. Kevin Lambert from the Action Elite has I'm sorry, Action Elite is Ian. He's also part of Preston Downey's consortium, but Kevin Lambert of the entertainment headquarters, part of the Mojo Army, invited me to be on his show sometime in the month of March. And let's see, Daryl Jones says Curse of the Demons 1957, starring Dana Andrews, Peggy Cummings, and I'm going to butcher this one, Niall McGuinness. George Sanders wasn't in Curse of the... I could have sworn George Sanders was in that movie too. I must be thinking of a different George Sanders movie, but thank you, Daryl. And it is a great... shows you how much I'm going to watch it again. It is a great movie. Oh, and Lance said, yes, of course, rest in peace, Carl Weathers. Oh, look who's here. Brogu is here. Says, hello, everyone. Hey, Thrash. This is a nice surprise. Yes, as I'm sure it's dawned on you, I'm doing a few systems checks. So as to not be disappointingly surprised tonight at 7:30 when the official live chat will be. And Corey says, two left you a comment on your earlier test stream that you did a minute ago. Helpful hints for you to try for troubleshooting the issues you're having. Thank you, Corey. Thank you. All donations are welcome. I will review that at leisure. But again, so far the trick I used today, where when I froze, I went off stage, unplugged my equipment, and then came back on. That seems to be working. Keep her fingers crossing, because I've been going for about 20 minutes at this point with no more freezy wheezies. And Jenny, yes, I am on tonight at 7:30. And Steve says, I'm bored. Steve, don't even kid. Don't even kid. Yeah, I know. Lance is like, easy, Steve. Yeah. Braid Wooden says 80s MTV had a lot of live concerts. It did. And you know, I don't know how many of you guys remember. During the early mid 90s, they were actually doing some amazingly innovative stuff right before they switched to reality TV, and the cumulative IQ of the country dropped measurably. They were actually doing some innovative comedy, animation, featurettes. They were really becoming a showcase for that sort of underground creative network that the country was building up in the days before the interweb. Like nowadays, we would watch it all here. But there was hope for MTV right before it abandoned all hope. Abandoned all hope, all ye who enter here. Justin says Kiss did a 1984 concert. They certainly did. Oh, holy cow. Number one dude slipped in and says, good Sunday morning, Thrash Bonda Pons. Hello to you too, by the way. And again, this is not the official video today. Just doing some systems checks. 7:30 p.m. tonight will be the official chat. Indy Spelled says Colossus was classy, Thrash. Unlike that punk Skynet. I love Colossus, the Forbidden Project. I always, and I have no why, it's one of my mental blocks. I always called it, when I was in college, I called it Colossus, the Forbidden Project. For some reason, I thought it was forbidden, because the idea of like the artificial intelligence, they knew it was a bad idea. I shall not dabble in God's domain, all that sort of rot. But it's not, it's the Forbidden Project. And of course, Harlan Ellison with his AM, which was, of course, the precursor to Skynet. For those of you who have read I Have No Mouth and I Much Scream, which I still say is quite possibly one of the most disturbing short stories in science fiction history. That one really stays with you. Um, there's a great one, an audio book of that. It was here on YouTube. I don't know if it still is, but it actually had Harlan Ellison doing the voice of AM, and he has that twang of anger and hate of the universe that Harlan Ellison was so known for. I highly recommend it if you can find it. Mr. Wilkinson is here. Christopher, how you doing? He says, "Good afternoon, Bob." Good afternoon to you, Chris. I'm so glad you could make it, but please still join me tonight at 7:30. That's when the real fun will be. Um, Indy Spot says, "One of my favorites, Forbin Planet." You're on fire today, Spouts. Very good. And Joe says, "I think Tug is playing the blues for his son, who is mowing the lawn." Huh. I wouldn't mind a little blues music while I mow the lawn. Corey says, "Joke, I can't use my computer at the moment. My cat ate my mouse." Very good. Don't sit under the apple II with anyone else but you. Anyone else but you. Don't sit under the. Does anybody else remember the apple II? When I was in college, only the rich kid or the mega geeks had their own personal computer. You had to go into the college library, and they had a computer lounge, which looked like a secondary school. They were just like all these little kioskettes with its own computer, and sometimes you had to wait for some schlub to get off so you could pop on. And I used to go there just to play video games. And every now and then, some kid would go, "Hey, you play the video games? I got a project I got to work on. Boot." So I'd have to boot. But times have certainly changed, haven't they? See this? This phone can do more than that entire computer lab could have. It's actually amazing. Oh no, Danny says Chile in South America is burning. Oh no, forest fire, terrible. And Corey says, "I thought you'd appreciate that joke." I appreciate all your jokes, Corey. They're great. Lance Chafin says, "Thrash, have you covered Megaforce yet?" I have not. We've talked about it. The guy whose name eludes me because I'm on the spot now, the guy who played Swan in The Warriors, that was one of the movies he felt killed his career. He said The Warriors opened a lot of doors and Megaforce closed them. But of course, a lot of people say he attributed that line to Xanadu. Sadly, Battle Truck I thought was a great movie, but it was just very poorly marketed and didn't give him the recognition he deserved. But and Jenny said nobody likes hot chili. My wife loves hot chili. My wife loves spicy food. If it doesn't do soft tissue damage, it's not hot enough for her. And Michael Beck, thank you. Speaking of my cursory research, Michael Beck, thank you. Sister Sarah's here. My flock is everywhere. She says, "Hi, everyone." Danny, please, a link to Sister Sarah for those of you who haven't already joined her. And so nice to see you, by the way. And number one dude says, "Wanderers come out to play." Wanderers is also a period piece, but that's about it's a great many things. It's about New York City in the early 60s, and they're breaking up into various little gangettes, nothing quite as organized as the Warriors. And Ken Wall is actually the start, and it's actually pretty slick. It's sort of like if the Warriors was done as Grease. And oh, by the way, that the Wanderers, well, oh, you got me doing it. Warriors come out and play. Supposedly, when him, not Michael Beck, Michael, the guy who played the head of the Rogues, when he was a struggling actor and he left his apartment, there was this like sort of homeless dude who used to hang out there, who used to love to mess with him. And when he would walk away, he would just keep screaming, "Hey, come out and play! Hey, hey, come out and play!" And it's like he'd be walking down the street ignoring him, and the guy would just talk louder, and it became this like ritual. And he goes, "You know what? That's just irritating enough to work in this movie," and it worked. Lynn says Michael Beck was in a cop show called Houston Nights with Michael Parr. Why can't I place that? Why am I having? I remember there was a TV show. It was sort of a precursor to 21 Jump Street, where they took all these kids out of reform school and turned them into undercover cops. But that didn't sound right. I know Tracy Scoggins was in it, and she was hot in that. But I will look into the Houston Knights. I will look. I will look into that. Indy's Belt says, I'm guessing Xanadu didn't do Beck any favors either, although I have an unhealthy appreciation of it. I like it for what they were trying to do. What they were trying to recapture the old Busby Berkeley 1930s musicals in a modern sense. Because remember, that was the whole premise. This is 1980. It's the 80s. It's a new age, and a new age calls for new themes, but we're also traditional. And I can't think of anything better to say about the 80s. It was both an incredibly cutting edge decade, yet and at the same time, a very, very nostalgic decade. And only the 80s could reconcile the two. And Lance says, okay, Justin, Marathon Man. Oh, what was that quote, Marathon Man? Well, I remember what Olivier said afterwards, where he was talking about how Dustin Hoffman basically tortured himself for the torture scene, and he goes, well, it's commendable, but why couldn't he just act? The come out and play actor was David Patrick Kelly. Thank you. What was I thinking, Michael? Was there a Michael Patrick Kelly? No, there wasn't a Michael Patrick Kelly. David Patrick Kelly. This guy used to torment him when he would like leave for work and stuff and do that whole David, come out and play. David, come out and play. You chose comfort or relief. And that wasn't the line I was thinking of, but it works. It's very encapsulating of the movie, and My Flock has given us a link. Thank you to Dan's channel. Excellent. Thank you. John said, was Xanadu the one with Fred Astaire on roller skates? Yes. At the end, yes. Where they just kept doing that, Xanadu, Xanadu, Xanadu. It just went on forever. It was, yeah, that was the thing. If you were still watching by the finale of Xanadu, you were like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And Number two says, I think Michael Parr played a teen in The Greatest American Hero. He was playing a teen until he was in his early 40s. That's the weird thing. He was also, of course, in Grease 2. I still think, though, and he wasn't playing a teen, I think Michael Parr's best character, his best character was I just said it. I literally just said it. Oh well, when I think of what I'm talking about, I'll come back to you. You wonder why? Because I missed a couple of these questions, and I let to get back to them. Number one dude said, "What happened to Ken Wall? He had to have back surgery, and after the back surgery, he was virtually crippled, so he had to drop out of acting. It was very, very, very sad." And the Cotton Club. Oh, thank you. The Cotton Club was what I couldn't think of to save my life. It's killing me, and I don't know why I couldn't think of it. Streets of Fire. Streets of Fire. That was Michael Parr, wasn't it? Am I confusing two actors? Yes, I am. Yes, I'm confusing Michael Parr and James Remar. Maybe I shouldn't do a shouldn't I? Maybe I should just have a lie down. I'm kind of all over the place. Michael, I was thinking James Remar was in Cotton Club. Michael Parr was in Streets of Fire. Thank you. And Len says that was Maxwell Caulfield, not Parr. Maxwell Caulfield. I've made a couple mistakes so far, Len, so I'm not sure which one you're correcting me on, but I'm sure you're right, whichever it is. Tell you what, guys. Actually, looking at the time, it's almost. Oh, hang on. Lance Javen says Diane Lane and William Dafoe, Streets of Fire. Yeah, William Dafoe plays the bad guy, and it's funny because the first thing that I saw William Dafoe that I really, really, really remembered him in was, of course, Platoon. But Streets of Fire was a few years earlier, and I didn't realize that was him. He really can play a villain really, really, really well, and a good guy as well. Very few people can do both. And Justin says, Bill Duke in Commando, you scared? You should be. This Green Beret going to kick your. Yes. And Arnold goes on to say, I eat green berets for breakfast. And I'm very hungry today. And Radon Chung pipes in because Commando is really a spoof of those action movies. And she goes, I hate this macho. Blah, blah, blah. And it's so funny because I was just actually talking about Radon Chung, but that is for tonight's trivia. And Indy Spout says, Pair A is pronounced Pair A. I'm sorry, I've been pronouncing it par, haven't I? Well, I guess I'm a little off par tonight. You'll have to pardon me. Call me Don Pardo. And Lance Jamin says Platoon and Off Limits were with Gregory Hines. Yes, rest in peace, Gregory Hines. He was amazing. He was very, very, very good. But anywho, it's just 2:00 now, and I promised Mrs. Thrash that I would wake her up for 2:00. We got a couple of errands we have to run tonight. Hopefully, we'll have them out of the way before Dave's show at 3:30. Guys, thank you for this incredibly rushed, incredibly unprofessional, incredibly unpolished live chat. Everybody be good, be safe, be careful, and I will see you all tonight at 7:30 on the actual chit chat. Peace.